Ladies and gents, welcome to Next Level Radio. I am your host, Colby Wortman, and our mission is to tackle the biggest questions in strength and conditioning, business, investing, and everything in between. We bring to you the best people in every sector so that you, the listener, can benefit and learn from the best in the biz. Whether that is S&C or business, you can rest assured you're getting the best knowledge available. Having trained athletes for many, many years, we have tried every treadmill known to man. You name it, we've tried it. With these treadmills, there's always been a disconnect, something missing for our athletic performance, something that just does not correlate to athletic success on the field until we tried our TrueForm runners. TrueForm for over 10 years has been elevating the performance of pro athletes, college athletes, recreational runners, and everyday athletes alike. You can check out TrueForm treadmills at trueformrunner.com, and we thank TrueForm for being an exclusive sponsor of Next Level Radio. All right, it's time we all grow up a little bit. Ditch the pre-workout. It's not 2007 anymore, and it's nothing like Jacked 3D. Ditch the shaker. You're not 4 years old, and you don't need a bottle anymore. And get yourself the best dippable pre-workout on the market. Each pouch is patriotically packed with 300 milligrams of caffeine and vitamins because shaker bottles suck. Send It Sups is the on-the-go solution for athletes, LEOs, firefighters, door kickers, and everybody in between. Head over to senditsups.com to get the best dippable pre-workout on the market, and we thank Send It Sups for being a sponsor of Next Level Radio. Next Level Radio continues to grow because of our listeners and our sponsors. Today we present to you Fat Fish Brewing, the official beer of Next Level Radio. Whether you're looking for a night out with family or smashing the best craft beers in the area, you will find it all at Fat Fish Brewing. Check out Fat Fish on Villard Street in Dickinson, or check them out on their website at fatfishbrewing.com. Life has an amazing way of coming full circle and bringing to you the people that you need in your life at that time. As a young whippersnapper, 4 monsters deep, just excited to tackle the day, I'm headed to my first strength and conditioning conference, and I hear about a company called Team Builder. Multiple coaches with experience with Team Builder and other platforms said the exact same thing. They said that you can get very similar products across different platforms. However, the thing that truly sets aside Team Builder and puts their product above anybody else's is their true and genuine customer service. As a customer for many years, both at the university setting and the private facility, I can tell you, Team Builder's customer service is absolutely second to none. Late night emails, programming issues, emergencies on my end are all resolved very, very quickly. So join the thousands of universities and private facilities that use Team Builder to elevate their businesses by going to teambuilder.com, click Start My Free Trial, and use code NLT at checkout. Our next sponsor, Nutridyne, a medical supplement company aimed at enhancing performance and addressing the underlying issues of disease. You will be hard-pressed to find the quality that you'll find at Nutridyne. Listeners of this podcast get 20% off all supplements. Just go to @coach_Wortman and click the Nutridyne link in our bio. Keep up with us on Instagram @coach_Wortman, on our website, nl-training.com, or keep up with us on the next episode of Next Level Radio. Now sit back, relax, and take in the mind-melting knowledge of this episode. Everybody, episode 120 of Next Level Radio. This is something that probably should have happened a long time ago, but now the quality of conversation is going to be a lot better, I would say, just with everything. Huh?
Yeah, for the public.
Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't want to meet us back in the day. But so we've been trying to get this together for a little bit, and kind of all the stars aligned and shit happened, and that's when the best podcast happened. So we're down here for Christmas 2023, and I'm here with my good friend Logan Frandson. and we have zero agenda, summary of kind of what we're going to talk about. But just introduce yourself real quick, and we'll start shooting shit.
So yeah, I'm Logan Frandson. We're here at Frandson Safety. And speak a little louder.
Yep.
This will be interesting. Where do you want me to start?
Dude, just who you are. Just fucking take it from there.
I went to the Marine Corps right out of high school after a failed semester of college.
It was a little bit more than failed.
Well, I got a couple of semesters. I got a couple credits, but yeah. Went to the Marine Corps. I flew on C-130s, made a lot of great friends, but I realized home was where I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And moved back here and went to Montana Tech, got my occupational safety and health degree. A couple months later, I went and took my CSP test, so I'm a certified safety professional. That's a thing in this world. Yeah, dude, that's who I am.
I mean, we have like fucking 50 different avenues to go down. But kind of brings us to like the main one for me, talking to you. For people that don't know, your family has gone through the shit, really. It's been kind of crazy, but it brings me to you taking the path to go to your OSHA certification, your safety certification and degree, and then where you're at today. So kind of talk about the events that led up to you to where you're at today with your pops and the business.
Well, my dad was in the Marine Corps, and I thought that was really cool. I mean, as any kid would. I really just kind of tried to impress that man my entire life. So obviously I went to the Marine Corps to make him proud, because I did a lot of stupid shit, me and you did. Try to redeem myself in a way, and in some ways I don't think I ever could, but I did my damnedest to. Yeah, Marine Corps, and then back in the safety industry. I had worked for him for a couple summers and stuff, so it was just so easy to fall back into. You're helping family. I was like hesitant at first, because you know how it is growing up in high school. People talk like, "Oh, you're just gonna walk into your family business.
They're just gonna sell you the business for free, and you're gonna be set for life."
Yeah, or you'll never make it in the Marine Corps. Like, man, that's just in the end fuel to the fire. But as a kid learning that stuff, I was real hesitant to do it.
Well, a lot of people don't know too. For people, I mean, I had some random ass sons of bitches out of. There was a couple in Africa and Europe, like one or two people, not a lot of people. But for you Africans and Europeans, in Warland, Frandson Safety has been a staple. And when I say a staple, looking from the outside in, that doesn't mean there wasn't fucking hard times. That doesn't mean that there was months that the bills wouldn't meet. There wasn't employee shit. But from the outside in, Frandson Safety has been a staple for a long time. And like, when you and I first met, before we even were friends, we were both friends with Ian Feather.
Yeah.
And I remember even back then, like it just being, that's Fred Frandson, that's Lori, they own Frandson Safety, like that's what they do, you know? Like it's always been a big staple. So for people that like, rightfully so, right? Like people look from the outside in and they think, well, that kid's going to have it easy because their family has a $1 million company or whatever it is. Like rightfully so, they can talk their shit, but you're going through shit right now that doesn't make, it would be easier just working 9 to 5 somewhere else right now than when you're in, right?
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so, out of the Marine Corps, you go to Butte, and actually, you guys made a good, decent chunk of money off reselling your house, didn't you?
Oh, fuck. You want to talk about that again? We already talked about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, first off, I met my wife there. That's the most important thing that happened in Butte. I met her through Tinder, but
hell yeah,
still met her in Butte.
Nonetheless.
Yeah, I sold my house during the housing market my senior year in college, and we thought we were gonna just make it out and quit our jobs. I made like 50 or 60 grand off of it after selling. And we bought a camper. Lived in that for the winter in Butte, Montana. That was awesome. And yeah.
Yeah. You don't talk about this much, and it's not a big thing in your family. Me looking from the outside in, it would have been real nice, the position you're in right now. It would have been real nice to have another good 1 to 2 to 10 years with your pops, like where you're having to take over the business now.
Yeah.
In those couple years, I mean, you weren't 100% mature where you're at right now, like being a parent and all that shit. But like, what were some of the things that, one, that you did learn from him, and two, what you wish you could have now that the position you're in now? Because there's so much fucking shit. There's so much.
I'd have a million questions for him. I mean, I already did, but finding the right time and the right place to do it was near impossible.
Well, your dad's not somebody that just sits down and has an open conversation.
Well, no, man. Well, for first off, they've been running the business for 22 years. Before that, he was working for oil and safety right out of the Marine Corps.
And he bootstrapped the whole business, just fucking from the ground up.
Yeah, $5,000. Him and my mom started this with a couple of investors. Mike and Tiff helped him out, but
yep.
Yeah, I started from the bottom and basically got to the top in a sense. They pushed out all the competitors in the Bighorn Basin.
Mm-hmm.
But he taught me so many things, man. And it wasn't him sitting me down. We rarely sat down and had conversations.
He was just doing.
It was just lead by example. I mean, he would always harp on me when I wouldn't do the right thing. Obviously, he would be corrective, over-corrective sometimes, but I mean...
Because, like, for people that don't understand, like, this oil and gas business and the safety business, they've been a staple, but Logan's dad passed away from cancer, late stage, just terrible, terrible cancer. But, like, you're now stepping up as we just talked about, like, where's the split of the business and all this stuff after your pops passed away. But, like, you've stepped up into, without an ownership role, like you're running the day-to-day, you're doing that kind of shit.
Not necessarily running the day-to-day, but trying to, I guess, steer the ship, if you will.
Yeah. Well, Gillette's going to be your baby.
Yeah, that's a whole different ball game. I mean, with the 3 employees that we had over there, one of them had 6 years experience, so we thought he could manage it while we were going through the heartache. Mind you, 3 weeks after my dad died back in August, my brother overdosed on fentanyl, so that kind of hit the entire company, let alone our family, because he worked for us as well. Mm-hmm. And then a couple months ago, or last month, my grandma passed away.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with all that shit. And then that motherfucker just gives me a call and tells me on a Tuesday, hey, I think Monday was my last day. And he said he was having problems personally. So, I mean, we all have our issues.
Yeah.
But I ran over to Gillette the next day because I just had a bad gut feeling. And lo and behold, it was like a dream come true, except in a nightmare, if that makes sense. Yeah. And it took me probably 10 hours of cleaning to come to that conclusion, and organizing and filtering and all that stuff. That I had to go through this version of hell in order for myself to feel validated to be in this position that I am in. Without my dad being here, coaching me, holding my hand, telling me what to do in all these situations, and it would take fucking years for me to get to that level.
Just to learn all this shit. 22 years.
Yeah, he went for a semester of college when he was young.
Before the Marine Corps?
Right out of high school, but his dad had a terminal cancer. I can't remember exactly what it was. So he quit, went back, and was a caretaker. So he never went to school, and that was one of the things I asked him. I was like, what should I do to position myself to be in your shoes? And he said, you need to go get your degree. And that was probably the worst part of it. Was that I was away from
the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't even find out until I was fucking taking my finals that he had stage 4 cancer.
Well, when you called me, it progressed so fast. Like, it just was, like, towards the end, and you know this better than I, but you saw him all the time. I didn't see him all the time.
Well, not necessarily. Well, yeah, the last 2 months I did, yeah.
Unrecognizable. That didn't look like Fred at all. Like, physically, it didn't look like him at all. Like, it was very, very...
Yeah, dude, he was a skeleton version of himself. That's what chemo does to people. My fucking wife's uncle, I just went through this last month with him. I went and visited him. Terminal cancer, liver disease. I don't know if it was... I mean, we don't know what the real cause is. We can always speculate.
Yep.
But it was the exact same look, the exact same feeling, and it just, that's the way it happens.
Looking from the outside in. So Kelby and I, you called me, and I was in the airport in Bismarck, North Dakota when you called, that he had passed away, that he had actually passed away. You guys kind of had known, it was on hospice and people came over and all the hospice stuff, but you called me, and like, for people, like, this is emotional for me too, like, even though we were piece of shit kids and doing stupid shit and all this stuff, like, they were like a second family to me. And your family's a little bit different. Like, you're not a sit down and have the hard conversation kind of family. You're like, suck it up, get to work, and we'll figure it out, you know, kind of thing. But even without them saying it, they were like a second family to me. And so, and Kelby can tell you this too, like, I remember vividly, you called me, I was in the airport, and you said he passed away, which we talked the day or 2 days prior, and it was inevitable. I mean, that was what was going to happen. But the hardest part was you told me when the funeral was going to be, and I had to miss the fucking funeral. And this is just me talking from where my heart is. I had to miss the funeral, and I sat in the Bismarck airport bawling, like absolutely bawling. And then a week and a half, 2 weeks later, Shane's happened. And this was just a weird thing that I had to go through. Like, I didn't get to show up for your dad's, and then if I showed up at Shane's, I almost felt weird not being able to be at your dad's. You knew I was gone, but nobody else didn't know I was gone. Like, your dad's was a huge funeral, like a massive, big community thing. It was fucking huge. It was massive. And so, like, I was like, well, fuck, people are gonna be like, why didn't you show up to Fred's and you showed up to Shane's? Like, you knew this, but like, I was friends with you. I wasn't as much friends with Shane. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was affiliated with us and all this stuff, but like, you and I were friends, and he was an acquaintance in that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, like, I was way closer to your pops, but it's looking from the outside in. If you could have had like 5 years, it still wouldn't have been enough to like learn this. He learned all this in 22 years. Like, it's crazy.
Well, he worked for Wildland Safety for like 11 years before that. So
over 30 years.
And then a kid with a 4.5-year degree and like
minimal experience in here. I mean, a couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on countless, well, maybe not countless. I'm not going to sound like I'm an expert now, probably.
Yep. But you've had a lot of experience in this short 1.5 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, as much as you can. It's all circumstantial. Mm-hmm. Like with the drilling rigs, they're just not drilling as much. It's starting to pick up a lot more now.
Yeah.
But when I first started out, I mean, that 3 or 4 years, every summer I worked, I never really got a chance to go on a rig. So
yeah.
It wasn't until he had cancer, it was June, right after I graduated. Money was tight, obviously, with crypto.
You and your wife and your family, you're saying?
Yeah. Money was tight for us. We were just moving back. We were in Powell still, waiting for our baby to be born. Our baby girl, Willow, the first one. And I don't know. I seem to make really irrational decisions when...
Under stress?
Under stress, I guess. And what was that shit called? Luna. I was in Luna tank.
Oh, shit.
And I wanted to make a quick buck, so YOLO'd like the last $6,000 I had of the 50, and yeah, it was a bad day.
Gone.
It was gone.
Yeah, Luna took an absolute shit.
Yeah, but back to the story, losing a lot of money financially, so I was a little stressed, and I was like, well, what better way to fucking make money than go work on a rig and get rig experience? And so I thought that was a good idea, so I applied to a couple rigs, you know, with all my credentials, safety credentials. Never got a call back, but I
For
went
around here.
Yeah. I went and told my dad I was gonna go do it, and he's like, man, you ain't gonna fucking like it, and that ain't gonna help you.
No.
So literally a couple days after that conversation, a workover rig calls like, hey, we need a supervisor. 24 hours. I'm like,
dude, looking in people.
Trial by fire, man. That's the only way I learn.
It's the only way I learned too. I had no fucking idea, and still, I'm serious. Just like you, you're not going to say you're this seasoned vet anymore. I have no fucking idea what I'm doing on the real estate side. And I'm being serious. I'm in the same position you are. Like, you feel like you know the ropes, but like anything can fucking happen. What I'm trying to say here, for people that do know our dumbasses, or knew us in high school, or knew us in college, or partied with us, or did drugs with us, or whatever. Okay, we're right here now with who we are. Where we used to be is a fucking crazy spectrum. And like, we don't see it because we're just in this day to day, right? Like, I remember vividly being downtown fucking Dallas, thinking we're taking Molly, and the guy gave us meth, more than likely.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean,
there's no way to know now.
But it was countless times, and like, who would have thought that we're going to be having this conversation? And when you have 2 kids, I have 1 kid. You're running a family business. I'm running my business. Like, we were destined for shit. Absolute shit. Honestly.
Well, we changed that around.
Yeah.
The thought of going to a club right now, it just is so
makes you want to like throw up.
Dude, I'd rather get a good
Can you imagine
sleep.
100%? Well, you know, like Jersey Shore is still trying to make like shows. Jersey Shore is, and they're like 40 and have 3 kids and shit, and they're still going to clubs and stuff. It makes me want to throw up. It's not my thing.
Well, that's kind of part of what's wrong with America, you know.
Yep. It's quite crazy. But I remember vividly how bad, and you had a little bit of a distance for a little bit. You didn't realize how bad it was because you were in the Marine Corps. I mean, you still fudged around and did stupid stuff, but like how bad drugs got once you came back, and then as soon as you got back, just got intertwined in it, you know? And it just completely...
Yeah, I remember that one time I was driving you to Dickinson, and we tried heroin, and I tried it for the first time, and I didn't get high.
With a guy named NH that time?
Yeah. Well, that was the only time, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Not for me.
Okay, speak for yourself, I guess. But yeah, I thank God to this day that I never got high, because, I mean, my brother had an addiction for a reason. Well, he had addictive personalities for a reason. My dad had the same shit with alcohol, you know. I mean, of course, there's always different circumstances. Fun fact for you, back in the day, before there was like cell phones and shit, they would go bar hopping at night during the days in the oil field. That's how you got your jobs. You'd go to the bar, you would drink with the fucking pushers and the company man, and they'd tell you, hey, I need you to be here tomorrow morning. And they'd fucking write it down while you're drinking so you don't forget it, and then you fucking wake up and go do it.
And then that's how you got your job.
That's how you got your jobs, man.
That's crazy.
That's how you hustled back in the day.
Well, before these things.
Well, yeah, it's completely different now.
Yep. I gave a speech about, it's called Business After Hours, about a month ago. And I'm serious, and you're the same thing. Shane's was an overdose, and what's running rampant now is fentanyl. Yeah. And if fentanyl was a thing, when we were doing the stupid shit we were doing, we'd be in his same shoes. We'd be dead. We wouldn't have a family. As hard as it is to be a father, dude, as hard as it is to be a father, like, it makes me want to frickin' cry not being able to have that life. Like, not being able to be a father. If fentanyl was a thing, we'd both be dead because we were reckless. Absolutely, absolutely reckless. At least I was when it was like when Pounds and I lived in Dickinson, dude, and NH. I'm not going to name drop people. When he was there, I mean, he was getting it straight from the Connect. It was every single day. I'd go to football practice. I was the team captain, 4.0 athlete, or 4.0 student, all conference athlete. And as soon as I got done with practice, go smoke heroin and veg out in front of a TV. Like, dude, I'm serious. If fentanyl was a thing, we wouldn't have families. We wouldn't have shit. We'd be fucking dead.
Yeah, well, fuck, even if it was in 21 when we went to that club in Dallas and just asked people until we found shit. Like, how stupid is that?
Especially in today's world now. And countless times, dude. Remember, we were so Billings, messed up in Billings. And somehow we
don't got to talk about every time.
I'm not. I'm just saying. Like,
yeah, that was a bad one.
It was bad. It was crazy.
We woke up in some random person's
driveway. Yeah.
Like,
well, because we got
suburbs
of Billings. We were so messed up.
Like acre plots, not like at a random house.
Yep.
It was like you drove a quarter mile onto someone's property and you parked in front of their fucking house.
We had no idea where we were at because we got lost and we didn't want to drive down main roads or anything. So we just found a plot and pulled up to somebody's house and slept. So it's crazy to think about, dude. But speaking of not like being a father, how's fatherhood, dude? I mean, we're both in this learning curve. You just talk about learning by feet to the fire.
Well, my family in general, specifically my wife and my kids, have really been my rock, but also really my fucking fuel.
Yep.
And my spark.
Mm-hmm.
My fucking oxygen. Like all of that fire, tetrahedron, safety shit.
Mm-hmm.
All of that together is like.
Without it, you couldn't do it.
No, dude. I was just lost, wandering.
Yep. I struggle with, I get caught up in the day-to-day, and like being a dad is hard. I could never be a mother. As hard as we work in our business, as hard as the hours, like you're going to work on Christmas Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like as hard as like the hours are and stuff, it's 10 times easier than, the way I look at it, it's 10 times easier than being a mom. Like Kelby, Megan, whoever it is, they have to be on top of their game 100% of the time. Yeah. You said tomorrow you're going to go.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, dude, that sucks you're working on Christmas. He's like, dude, I don't have to be really with it. I'm sitting in my vehicle, supervise it. It's not like you have to be on top of your game. Like when I get home, you have to watch him. If he starts crying, you got to feed him. If he starts shitting his pants, you got to do this and that. And then the the nighttime routine, and like you have to be on 100% of the time. I didn't realize how hard it is to be, well, number one, a parent, but number two, a mom, dude. I mean, my workload at work has significantly increased because I'm trying to overcompensate. And that's something I would like to hear your opinion on. But like, we had a conversation about it on the phone the other day. Like, the wife doing the parenting stuff and raising your kids and not having them in public schools right away or whatever it is. But like, and then on my end, where it's a whole different thing, but like, we're the providers. We put food on the table. We go to work. We do the things. Like, I'm having a hard balance in that in life right now. Like, it's much better than what it was. But like early on when Ridge was born, when it was much harder, like the night times, all that stuff is much harder. It's getting easier now. But I would get so uptight and so upset. I'd even call Kelby when she's at work working night shifts. Like, I feel so complacent. I feel like I need to be doing something. I feel like I need to be making content. I feel like I need to be recording a podcast or reaching out and getting a new online client or something. Like I felt so fucking complacent until I realized that I actually started building a relationship with Ridge, and like him wanting me and me wanting him, you know, like he's talking to me, and like, then I'm like completely filled with utter joy, but I didn't feel it for a long time. I felt I need to work fucking harder and I need to make more money.
Yeah.
Because I'm wrapped up in the money.
I was the same way. For the first couple months until, Willow started like smiling at me when I walk in the room and shit, and then it just kind of changed it.
Changes everything.
The work-life balance thing, it's tough. I don't know. Speaking for,
because Megan's lucky enough, and it's amazing, and hopefully Kelby's there sooner or later. But before you get into it, she's staying at home with the kids.
Yeah, she's working part-time, and she's going to be working a lot more. She's going to be taking the kids to Gillette at the office.
And being
she's going to be
full-time
working.
Secretary.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes with 2 little kids, but.
Yeah. But how is it being a father and then the whole business life?
It's hard. It's really hard. Well, just to kind of backtrack, this whole past year and a half, 2 years, whatever you have it, since I left school, trying to just wrap my head around the responsibilities that you gain as a husband, and then as a kid, like as a father. You know, I mean,
it's outrageous.
We still haven't gotten like how to be a good son down yet, let alone how to turn around and teach a little one how to be your replacement.
That's true.
Like it is hard, hard to make those calls. And I mean, even now, like I could have made someone else go work tomorrow, but I feel like now is my time to put in the work. I mean, my time now with the kids, I'm gonna miss Christmas Eve with my kiddos and my wife and their family. But I'm gonna make one of my employees, which I consider family as well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make him happy with his family.
It's true, dude.
It's a give and take. I'm making extra money. I'm making money for the business. Because, we could have been like, hey, we're not going to work tonight.
Yep.
Like, all right, well.
We're going to go find somebody else.
We're going to find somebody else, for one, yeah. Finding that balance is hard, man.
You make a good point. I saw a video, Ryan Pineda, he does real estate. He's actually really good at what he does, but he's not my favorite real estate guy, let's just say that. But he talked about, and I struggle with this too because I'm doing the same thing. Like on this trip here home in Christmas, I'm starting my newest group of QF people, and I have 6 people paying me a premium, a lot of money from what I'm used to, a lot of money. And I had 3 meetings over Christmas, like my family's over with my mom, my dad, my stepdad, Bo, everybody, and I'm on this computer for an hour, like I'm doing work. And Ryan Pineda talked about, he said, we think that like right now is our time we need to build up and we need to make more money and do more work, and so that we can kind of coast after, you know? And he said like, it's actually opposite. But how else do we do it? How else are the bills paid? How else are all these things, you know? So like I'm being a devil's advocate for what you're doing, but I do the same exact shit.
Oh yeah, you didn't let me finish my story, because I don't have that opinion really. That's how it is right now. That's how it has to be.
Yeah, we have to put the fucking work in.
Right, yeah. But as far as the work-life balance, as long as I'm with my family, that's really all that matters. I kind of got a life hack going on. My wife is getting involved in the business, so I can talk to her about work. She can be at the same place I can work. I can take my kids there, and we can work all together.
Yep.
I mean,
that's the one nice thing about the business. Like Ridge comes to the gym, and Ridge gets to hang out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's really the only reason that I'm willing to stay 12, 14 hours and just sweep and clean a shop.
Yep.
You know, it's hard to find motivation to do that for 3 days straight.
Yeah, you can only listen to so much Next Level Radio podcast. Just kidding. I get it though, dude. How he put it is like, these are the times that you pull back. Well, easy to say for somebody that has 500 real estate doors and you just hire people to take care of them. And there's no such thing as real estate as passive. I'm in the motherfucker. It's not passive. It's far from passive. Like I have one property that's not rented out right now. It hasn't been rented out for like 14 days. And I'm losing all the money that I made all year long, you know, because you don't make a lot of money off each door. That's why you have to buy and buy and buy. It's far from passive, but that was the biggest. So I'll ask you after saying this. My hardest thing becoming a father was riding the line between efficiency and busy. Am I being efficient, or am I just being busy for the sake of busy? Because my business is a little bit different than yours. Like, I'm not clocking in, but I'm making content which is going to get somebody to sign up, or like doing something like that. The difference between efficiency and busy, and spending time and finding joy with my son, and finding joy in what I do in business, because I fucking love what I do. I do. Like, we're making a podcast right now. Like, I love what I do, but like, I struggle with that hard. And I felt complacent when I was spending time with my son, so I had resentment towards my son early on. That's fucked up. It's twisted. I had resentment because he's crying and I have to set everything down.
Yeah, you'd rather just like, all right, he's crying, give her to the wife so I can go do something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had resentment against him.
I have those thoughts too. Or I guess subconsciously I just do it.
Yeah. And subconsciously we do it, but we act upon it, and they see that, you know, like, I don't know. Early, it's got so much better, and I think Kelby would tell you the same thing. It's got so much better because, like, I truly enjoy and love and being with him, you know?
Yeah, but there's a lull. There's like, I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to act. I don't know how to be.
For what, 4 to 6 months?
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
2 to 6 months-ish.
Yeah, well, I'll let you know. I'm going through that again. My little boy is 2 months old now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what's been your biggest struggle?
I would say not having a home.
Bouncing around. Yeah.
Yeah. Since I sold my house, 21, I haven't.
You haven't had a home base.
No, we've lived in Powell with her parents. We've lived in Cody in an apartment.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah,
Just quick.
Working for a month in Oregon Basin, just supervision every day. I get to bring the wife up. She went on a baking spree, got some bomb-ass recipes.
She starts sourdoughing yet?
Not sourdough. She's made some bread.
Yeah.
She's made a couple good loaves of bread.
We're getting into sourdough. Love it. What has it been?
And then living at my mom's house for, I guess, the past year or so.
Yeah, almost a year. I mean, it's an amazing situation. It's a blessing. You can be with your mom going through all this, but she can also be there for you. Again, I know that your family's not like, I'm there for you kind of thing right off the bat. But it's a big blessing, but it's also like, you want to start your life. You want to do your shit. That scared the shit out of me. Ice maker. You want to build your life and build your roots and do all those things, but you're still living with your mom, you know? That'd be, I couldn't do it. I even asked Kelby, because this is how it is in my brain with business and real estate and all this stuff. I said, Kelby, I don't think it'll ever happen, but if something happened and we fell flat on our fucking face and we had to do it, and I didn't want to sell this house that we live in because it's perfect real estate. It's right next to the college. It's a perfect rental. Perfect. Would your parents I would rent this place out. I don't want to sell it. Rent this place out and live with your parents. They're like, yeah, they would take us in a heartbeat. But like, I would never want to do that. It's just, it's hard. Living with your in-laws or living with your parents, it's a whole different world.
Yeah, well, I mean, the circumstances are just different.
100%.
I mean, my dad died.
Yep.
It was a 5,000 square foot home that they built from this business.
Their dream home.
That they planned on living in for the rest of their lives.
Yep. I mean, dream home. Acreage, endless badlands behind it, horses, one level, beautiful deck. It really makes the point solid. Family's everything, because look what happened.
My dad had a nice dually, I don't even know how long it is, like a 44-foot camper. Like, they were going to travel the States. They were getting ready to
Hang it
settle
up.
down and pass the torch.
Mm-hmm.
They knew I wasn't ready for it, but, I mean, he was planning on fucking staying there for another
5,
decade.
10 years, yeah. I think this is a good segue here for you. You weren't ready for it, and this is me looking from the
Still
outside
ain't
in.
ready, but
The only way to get, and we talked about this on the phone, the whole thing as a whole, your dad passing away and you having to step into the business, full-fledged, just getting thrown into the business. But now this whole Gillette thing that's happening, and we talked about it, and we've been talking a lot about religion and energy and all this different stuff as of recent. This is my perspective. Your dad made Gillette happen for a reason. I 100% think your dad set you up for that. I really do. I truly believe that, like, that happened so you learn the ins and outs, so you go restart it from the bottom, that you go do all this stuff, and that's what's going to make you ready. Because if he would have stayed around for another 5 to 10 years, you wouldn't have the sense of urgency. You said it. It's a dream and a nightmare. You would have, even if he was here for the next 5 to 10 years, you wouldn't have taken the initiative and have the motivation and the willpower you have right now with this whole Gillette situation going on.
right, he would have handled it.
And held your hand through it.
Well, he wouldn't even.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to put myself in his shoes, but I wouldn't have. I mean, that was the thing. I went over to Gillette and I called up my mom and I said, I need to move here.
Shit's messed up.
I need to fix this. It wasn't, hey, Dad, this is fucked up. This is fucked up.
What do we do?
Just pointing out, like, oh, I observed this, you know, trying to get him to say something. Because that's all I wanted him to do was to fucking talk.
Yep. But now you're forced to.
Yeah.
As much as it sucks, I can't imagine it, and I'm gonna have to go through it at some point. As much as it sucks, best thing for you. I mean, besides your family being here,
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, that's me looking from the outside in, not going through all the shit. You wouldn't be in the spot you are today without it, you know? Because, like you said, your dad would have kind of guided you through everything pretty easy, or just took the reins and just said, hey, I'm going to fix this and be done with
Yeah,
it.
we just took the reins.
Yeah. It's crazy. You guys have gone through a lot of shit recently.
I don't know, man. Remember that book I was telling you about? Have you read it yet?
The PDF that you sent me?
That manuscript or whatever.
I think I read like 10 pages. But you sent me 2 books. You sent me 2 books.
With that book, I read like 4 or 5 other books that were mostly spiritually based.
Uh-huh.
And you said yourself, you saw that switch in my attitude and my mentality. It's not so much the religious side of it, but it's, I guess, the commonality of it, where it's a creator of some sort. Mm-hmm. It all leads back to a source.
It's not a big bang. It's there's some type of intelligent creation.
Yeah, it's not, hey, someone else telling you to believe in this because this is written. Yep. You have to read it and believe it. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, everything that I know now, it's kind of hard to make me not see through that white curtain there that you're hanging in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we agree and disagree on multiple things. We agree on a lot of things, and we disagree on some things too.
Right.
Which is good. Which is good.
Healthy.
Yes. Like I'm now Catholic. I've been Catholic for 5 years now. I didn't grow up Catholic, and the Catholic Church has a way of this is the Bible. I grew up as this is the Bible, this is sacred scripture. So as much as like you dive into these books now too, and you've read them and come to believe them, it's the same exact thing with the Bible. But with the churches, when the churches get involved, they have their perspective and what they want you to believe out of what the scripture says.
Yeah.
You know, like this is the funnel. Here's your Bible, but this is the funnel we want you to see the Bible through. And I think that's where things get a little bit muddy, because as much energy, and we talked about this, as much as energy as I put into that book that you sent me is about the same energy that you put into the actual reading of the Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like we're both on
But look at it
both
like
ends
this.
of that.
If you look at America now versus 1776 when it was founded with the amendments and what all our regulations are now, I mean, that's the same thing with the Bible. Look how many different versions there are now. I'm not saying it's all false, but I'm saying that it's not all prophecy.
Yeah. There's
All it takes is to change the definition of a word. Like, for instance, virgin, if that meant back in the day that you just had a baby without being married, well, that completely changes the entire, like, thought process. Jesus wasn't born from
a virgin.
From magic,
Yeah.
you know? There was an actual cause and effect from it. I'm not saying it's true. I don't know what to believe. I just like to think, what if? Because life kind of sucks if you just constrict yourself to the boundaries that we're
and
having to live by.
how I look at it is like you talk about like one creator. For me, that's God, 150%.
Yeah.
I think it's a miserable being if you don't have something to look up to.
Yeah.
Like something, like if you're just confined to your current reality, if there's not something to look up to, it's a miserable life.
Dude, if you follow science, you'll find...
Scientology.
Well, not Scientology. I don't know if that's considered science. But you'll find, like, frequencies and resonances. It's all translated into energy. And...
That's something interesting that I never got to bring up to you, too. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Those are the first words that are spoken in the Bible in Genesis. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. So there's people way smarter than myself that made a TikTok, and I don't know if I ever even saved it. But this TikTok talks about frequencies and the Creator and religion and God and all this. And what they're saying is God, in his frequency, the creator of all, the Messiah, through energy, the Word was God and God was the Word. He is the Word. We believe the Word that he puts down created everything from his frequencies of his voice.
Yeah.
That's a crazy...
That's like, yeah, that's what kind of blew my mind, is putting all of that together. Like, not just electricity, not just a fire, not just photons or light or whatever you want to call it. It's all energy. It's all the same product. It's just translated into something different.
In a different
We're
state.
energy, you know, like we have a charge. So it's pretty easy if you just look for it. It's just connecting the dots that's very hard.
Well, and one thing that like we truly agree on, and it can be on the religious side or a spiritual side or an energy side or whatever, like the law of a true attraction.
Yeah.
And we talk about like you having anger when your kid yells, or us not having a positive or optimist outlook on something, and we have a negative outlook, and it's going to attract negative experiences, stuff happening in your day that's negative to you. Number two, negative people. It's all going to attract to you what you put out, you know? And that's the whole basis of religion in its purest form. Do good to others. Love one another as your own. Like, it's have this positive outlook on everything. And in the world we're in today, without that, you're going to go nuts. And we drive ourselves nuts talking about everything like this, like everything that's going on in the world. But like, what else can we do? We just have to buckle down and do what we have to do. It comes down to that. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. I'd rather be positive and optimistic, though. I mean,
we have families now. We have to be.
Well, yeah, not only that, but it's just a better existence. And on the spiritual side, it talks about the thoughts and emotions, it having energy behind it, it rippling out like a drop in the ocean.
And it attracts the like.
It's like a magnet. Like No, well, that's opposite attract. That doesn't make sense.
Yep. But I truly believe in that. There's stuff that you have talked about that I don't believe, and there's stuff that I do believe. I truly believe everything is energy, and I truly believe that. We just have a different outlook on some things about it. But early on, and we talked about this, when you put energy into reading the Bible or reading these books or exposing yourself to these different thoughts, you were, for, I don't know if it was 2 weeks long, a month long, whatever, but you were like inundated. You were overwhelmed with like negativity about the world. Because I think you just kind of, things that like since COVID happened, we've lived in a freaking crazy world since COVID happened. Everything just something crazy the whole time. And I've been a pessimist about everything and a conspiracy theorist until every single one of my conspiracies that I had came true. Every single one of them since COVID. And then once you
COVID being the start of it.
Yeah. And once you put your energy into that for that first, call it 3-4 weeks, you were so negative about everything. And I told you that on the phone. Like everything, like they've lied to us about this. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. And then you finally came to the fact that like, okay, I've exposed myself to this knowledge, but now like I need to do something about it instead of just focusing on the negative. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you were like, there was one thing after another of just something bad.
Well, that's the fucking proof in the pudding.
Grab some water. Keep talking.
That's the proof in the pudding, man. I mean, heard that.
You can keep talking. That's all right.
Oh.
I don't have to cut it.
Well, like with the thoughts and emotions, that's the proof in the pudding. When I'm happy and I'm positive and something bad happens and I don't react to it with a negative thought, then I don't correspond it with a negative emotion, and then the cycle doesn't repeat.
Yeah.
Perfect example, when I was in Cody, after a long day, I like sit down, my daughter gets on my lap, I got a big glass of milk, haven't taken a sip yet, and she just fucking reaches out and grabs me and hugs me, and it obviously spills it all over the place, and I snap at her, and I had this wait, she meant to do that out of love.
She was trying to hug you.
Yeah, she's trying to hug me. My initial reaction was going to be like, quit it, or like yell at her and tell her to stop. And then she would never have fucking expressed love that way again.
She wouldn't trust herself to expose herself to show love to you.
Yeah, that's her first exposure. Like, oh, I'm just showing my pure love and joy and emotion. Don't really know how to express it. Well, I'm not going to do it that way anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like I start thinking like that, and I don't want to be in a negative mindset anymore.
I have a great example about this.
There's too many reasons. There's too many things that can bring us down right now. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know. What were you gonna say?
My best example, grew up with a very hard dad, alcoholic, and just struggled with a lot of stuff. And he's done amazing now. He's amazing. He's been sober for a long time.
People change.
Yes. But one thing that, I don't know if he'll ever listen to this, but one thing that really I struggle with a lot, meeting Kelby and her family, if every family has their things, but they're as close to a perfect family. They're not perfect, but they have a very healthy relationship, very healthy. And yelling and screaming and disciplining like that is not even on the table. You just don't do it. And so me coming from mine, where it's physical, screaming, all this stuff, fist fights here and there, whatever it is, but screaming at any wrongdoing, spilling a glass of milk, like the reaction, he didn't have the foresight to think about that. And it implanted into me where that's my reaction. I've now got a very good grasp on it. I feel like I have a very good grasp on it. Like I'm not screaming, and I will never yell at him, because Kelby and I talk about it. Like we just don't allow it. When her and I are in arguments, which happen frequent, zero yelling, zero. We never do it. We never raise our voice at each other, because it makes me uncomfortable because of my childhood. It makes me so uncomfortable. So my example, every time we come visit, my dad is completely sober and he's amazing and he does well with that. But the thing that stresses me out so bad is my little brother Tyson, who is Down syndrome. It's the yelling in the house. Like, I put a blanket on the floor. I said, pick that up. Like, screaming, absolute screaming at everything. And it bothers Kelby to the core, and it bothers me to the core bad. But that's how they've done it. That's how we talk to me. That's how they disciplined me.
It's how he was disciplined, probably.
It's how he was disciplined. And I know I've broke the chain because Kelby, and it started before. It started with the respect between Kelby and I. We never yell at each other. We can't, because I'll just keep on doing it. I don't know, because it makes me so uncomfortable that, like, it's hard to enjoy the time there, you know? It's really uncomfortable because everything's like that. It's the same thing with the spill milk.
Man, you can have PTSD in more than just gunfights. It's emotional trauma. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Childhood, doesn't matter.
Drug abuse.
I think too, the reactions that we have, well, at least for me, stem from childhood. Mm-hmm. Stem from those, like, instances where they're screaming at us and we don't know why, so we just swallow it and we
shut down.
We don't deal with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like we're still just trying to figure all this stuff out, but we're doing the best that we can with the resources that we have, and I think that's been good for you. Like, reading and researching and doing these things has been really good for you, because there's probably other stuff, like spending more time, like true quality time, uninterrupted, not looking at the phone, not doing this, not doing that. Like, that's probably my biggest struggle with that, you know. Do I have a grasp on not yelling? 100%. Like, I don't yell, but there's plenty of other shit.
Oh yeah.
What's the suggestion?
You have an Airbnb that you have. Why don't you take advantage of the app and go find one every once in a while?
And just be with the family.
Unplug.
Yep.
Me and Meg have done that a few times, and
you did that in Clark.
Yeah, we did it in Clark. We did it up in Red Lodge, and then over in Daniel this past 2 weeks when I was down in Salt Lake getting my.
Where's Daniel?
It's like 20 minutes west of Pinedale.
Wyoming?
Mm-hmm. It's just a small town. Oh. It's like got a gas station and a restaurant. That's it.
Huh.
But it's kind of like a tent sleep scenario close to the mountains. Just got a cabin up there, man. Doesn't have Wi-Fi, no service. Just us and the kids.
Yeah.
We had a couple glasses of wine and played some cards and just relaxed, man.
Just did it for a weekend?
Just for a night.
Yeah.
That's all we had.
Mm-hmm. I need it more than most. My whole life is wrapped around that.
I know it. That one time, we went to lunch in Cody. Me, you, Kelby, and Megan. It was like the only time we ever got together in Cody. You came for lunch or some shit.
What were we doing there?
I don't know. But we were driving back, and I thought it was weird too, and I had a conversation with Megan about it, and we talked about it, and it's kind of relating to this problem. Mm-hmm. We didn't even have a conversation until we got to Grable. It was just me and Megan and your wife having a conversation. You were on Instagram making a post. Mm-hmm. Like, in my head, I'm thinking like selfish thoughts, like, oh, this fucker's just, I guess I'm not that fucking cool anymore, or he doesn't have time for me. I guess he's just really busy with the business. And then the more I thought of it, I was like, well, it's not selfish in his mind. He's just doing business while it's convenient. Mm-hmm. It's not that he's actively ignoring the entire conversation. He thinks he's listening in the back of his head. Everyone fucking thinks they can do it, you know?
And that's why I need to unplug more often than not. Which is just a never-ending cycle. Every day I have this, it's called the ADHD planner. It's awesome. It works great for my ADHD. But it has like thoughts, and it has like, you can time block your whole day. Also, I don't use that portion because I use it on my phone, but then like things that you have to do, it says have to do or could do. And you just make a list of things I have to do today. And I could do these if I have time, but this list has to be done first. It's really, really cool. But a quote that I write in there every single Monday is create don't consume. And I have to do that every day, because when I start creating, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make a business post, but then I find myself scrolling, and then the ridge is right there looking for my attention. But I'm telling myself I'm doing business, which sometimes I'm not. You know, I'm gonna make a post, but then I just get scrolling through it, and I just don't make anything. And now, so I'm trying to make a conscious effort of creating, not consuming, which is a never-ending cycle, because I'm creating it for other people to consume. You see what I'm saying?
I don't think you have to be doing creating or consuming.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just be present. You can just be there. And that's something too that I'm not trying to judge you in any way. It's just an observation that I've kind of thought of. Watching my little daughter figure out how to fucking put a straw in a little
The small,
cup.
stupid things.
Holy shit, man. Learning how fascinating a spinning fan really is. Like,
Ridge has a fascination with socks.
Yeah,
This thing is socks.
It's the craziest
Our
shit.
whole house has laundry everywhere. And that little son of a gun, he knows the difference of a sock between any other piece of other clothing. And he grabs socks out of it, and he starts like holding it up and talking to the socks like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. And then he just carries it with him everywhere he goes and just he always has a sock in his hand. And he's always just walking around and shit. But it's the fascination with the small things like that.
Yeah.
Like that we overlook, because these are dopamine suckers.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah,
I mean,
that-
for me, my business is way different than yours. And this is me justifying it in my head. But my business is way different than yours. Mine is wrapped around this. I get customer acquisition from that. You know, yours isn't customer acquisition from Facebook.
Well, don't you get that shit from word of mouth too?
Oh yeah, 100%. I would say businesses that weren't created with word of mouth can't sustain just by word of mouth. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to build, or I'm still trying to build, but I'm building it actively, is online. So where I'm doing work when I'm here, I can do work. I don't have to be in the gym away from my family. I can do work anywhere. Like that's my end goal, and that's what I've done. Like it's starting to surpass my training income.
Well, hold on, because I kind of see the conundrum there. You can't get away from work.
Oh, I struggle with it bad, because I love what I do. I really do.
Well, so do I, man. But if you're working on your phone too, just even more. If you have more money or more clients on there, it's more workload.
Oh, 100%. When this goes, that's my end goal. Is like give up having to be obligated to train in a gym. That's the end goal. To where this is a little bit more, you could call it passive. I meet with people once a week, and their program is, I make their program. You know what I'm saying?
Through that? Through a phone?
Zoom.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's different. You go to an oil rig.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I don't know if that's going to change your entire who you are. You're going to be like the guy on a Zoom doing like P90X and shit.
No,
you know? I don't know. You can keep it the same how you're going, you know. I'm just saying, like, where's your end goal? You started off because you wanted to see people grow and mature, like, and you saw that day in and day out. You saw them in the gym.
7.5 years now.
Yeah. I'm sure those relationships that you meet in person,
they're better than anything.
oh yeah.
That's what I truly love doing, is training athletes. Like it's just athletes. Like I'm about 85%, call it maybe 90% athletes, and the rest are like general population people that I trained forever. But going back to our point, word of mouth is my biggest advertising, 100%. 100%. You train somebody and they tell somebody, and
I think that is
100%.
everything, man.
I beg to differ. Successful businesses in most industries, not all, but most industries, are leaving shitloads on the table if their business can sustain without social media and online presence. That's a whole different thing. I'm saying like industries that it's intertwined in that. The fitness industry is one of the biggest ones. The makeup industry, the any type of education industry, if you're doing education, like talk about like education for Frandson safety, making online modules and training a staff in Colorado or whatever, Utah or Texas or whatever it is. Like that's a whole nother avenue. But I'm saying companies that aren't built on it in today's world, you can't grow a thriving, growing, successful business without it.
No.
It's fucked. It's fucked.
It's because we got oligarchies everywhere. It's basically a monopoly with just 4 or 5 big leaders.
Yep.
There's no way that, I mean, I would never be able to start this thing from the ground up.
Yeah. But that took 22 years of, 30 years, 33 years of relationships and word of mouth.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm a different story. Someone bootstrapping a business now is, I don't know. Unless you have a new market that there's no big competitor in, it's pretty tough.
I just thought of that on
Like,
here.
even-
Like you do all your physical safety training in a not a one-on-one, but in person in a classroom, correct? That's something that, I don't know if that's something you want to develop, but you guys could hire people to develop. You digitize your whole PowerPoint. You digitize your education that they have to pass, their curriculum. You digitize that, and now you have a Zoom meeting with Colorado safety company, or excuse me, a Colorado oil company. That's a whole new ballgame.
Yeah, and you're thinking like
I just thought about that because I said
know.
education.
Yeah, you're thinking like a good capitalist would.
Yeah,
But I just don't agree with it. And it's purely for the fact of like efficiency. It's not efficient. Well, it's not even efficiency.
it's not efficient at the start.
It's not efficient learning.
Oh, I'd agree with that.
Watching a Zoom meeting, clicking through a module, waiting for the time to get up or to go before you can click next. It's not
I'd
not
agree
good.
with that. Some people, some weird people, learn better like that. I don't.
Everyone learns differently, but I mean,
Mine has to be hands-on.
From this course down in Salt Lake, that was what they taught us, was really just the different techniques and the tools and how to teach people, and it really just blew my mind open. Like my entire perception on how to teach
Is how you learn.
in my industry is just to use PowerPoints. Like, oh, here's a slide, read the slide, or talk about the slide, don't read the words, but use a PowerPoint. That instructor there for 4 or 5 days didn't pull up one PowerPoint.
Yeah.
We talked through all the course outcomes and all the objectives and all that kind of stuff, but it was through casual conversation. It was through interactive style talking.
That's why I love podcasts and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Like it's nobody ever thought podcasts would be what they would be, and now they're like electing presidents. Where we're at right now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. One thing I ask everybody at the end of the podcast, seriously think deep about this, because I have my own answer and people hear it every day on the podcast, but it changes over a while. When you're at your funeral, you're dead, your family's there. When it's all said and done, when everything's over, what do you want people to remember Logan Frandson as? Like, what are the things you want people to say at your funeral about you? Because we never know when that time is going to come, and this is a heavy question that I always hammer on people. We never know when that time is going to come, and we're trying to do the day-to-day things that build the legacy that we want people to talk about when we're sitting in that coffin. But look at the shit that your family's gone through. Your pops, it was more expected. Shane, it wasn't. I mean, inevitably, if he kept doing what he was doing, yes. But instant, no. Like 3 weeks after your dad died, no. So he didn't get a build. He was stuck in addiction, and he didn't get to build what he wants people to say at his funeral. And I think if we can reverse engineer that, we can do what we want to do, and we can build what we want to build. So if we think about what we want people to say at our funeral, we can build that. What do you want people to say at your funeral? When somebody says the name Logan Frandson, what do you want them to think about?
Just that he was a good man.
Mm-hmm. Why though? Like what makes a good man then?
Someone who cares, who does their best to provide unconditional forgiveness, and man, just try to do it better. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't have a good thought. I've never put myself in that shoe.
It's a weird shoe. It's a weird shoe.
I've always kind of just thought I'd figure it out.
And I think if we think about it, we can take the steps to like do it. Is how I look at it. Everything in my life has revolved around people. Me getting clean started with a person. Me, but I called my coach. Me doing anything, it's all people. Like we stand on the shoulders of giants. And I'm in an industry where it's like one-on-one with people daily. Like I'm just with these people and building relationships with them. Mine all revolves around, I want people to say like, he loved people. Like when you sit down and you have a conversation, you're sitting down and having a conversation because you genuinely want to have a conversation, not because you have a different means to an end about having that conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want people to say like, that guy is genuine. I'm building it right now, but I want people to say like, that guy worked harder than most people that I know. And I hope that that's something that I can instill in Ridge to some extent. But like, I want people to say that, and I think people would. Like, he worked harder than anybody else. Like, I hope people can say that, but it comes down to like loving people and including my family first. Like being a morally good person, but loving people and my family are first. It's my big thing.
Yeah. Let me caveat though, because truly, who the fuck cares what people think? Mm-hmm. Even, I mean, put myself in my mom's shoes. I don't know how it all feels to lose a husband for that long, but why not? Fuck it. Mm-hmm. Fuck what he thinks. We'll figure it out later. Because if she sits there and it's like, well, what would Fred do? What would Fred do? What would Fred do? It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, it's not your current reality anymore.
It's not. And the longer you stay in it, the longer you're going to dwell in it. Mm-hmm. Like, the longer you're going to feel shitty. The longer you're going to want to go drink. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's, fuck what they think. I mean, I'm not saying I want
I see what you're saying.
But do what you think is best. Mm-hmm. That's like my one good advice. Do what you think is best, not what you think others want you to do.
What other mold that other people put you in? People put you in a mold and like, hey, you should do this. Or
the mold that you think people think of you. Mm-hmm. It's
fuck that.
It's, oh fuck, Kobe's my best friend. I don't want to ever say anything bad about his little ears or something.
Mm-hmm. Better little ears than little dick. Just kidding. But
you know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying. I look at it as a perspective of not giving weight to anybody else's opinion, like not giving weight to it, but taking the steps that I want to elicit. Let's take their opinion out of it, like not their opinion. What do we want to think about ourselves? What do we want to elicit in other people, but it's not about their opinion. My thing is I want people to think that I want myself. I want to be somebody that worked harder than anybody else. I want to be somebody that loves people and my family and like has a vested interest in them, you know, like pounds may, but like having deep relationships with people is how I like it. Somebody that I look up to a lot, and I hope he'll never listen to this, but Bo Bird. Bo Bird literally loves every single person, flawed, not flawed, anything. I mean, wholeheartedly. Like, you have a conversation with him, you're the only person in the world.
Yeah,
like, captivating, you know what I'm saying? I like that because it's not fake. There's not a facade. There's not a smoke screen with it. It's just this.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
He just chooses to be happy,
Yeah.
regardless of what other people
Any
think.
circumstances. Yeah. He's doing what he does right. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another reason, like, I've had a hard time going to funerals. Like, my aunt just passed away this last week, and
Your grandmother.
My aunt. My grandmother passed away last month. My aunt passed away last week.
Who? What?
My
I didn't know about
Aunt
this.
Jerry. Randy.
Oh,
mom.
yes. On the Randy set. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chris's grandma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew that.
So she passed away. I wasn't able to go to that one because I was working. I had to be on a job. But going to funerals in general, that vibe, that feeling of everyone not knowing how to act or feel, like,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. Why put yourself down in that situation? It's supposed to be like a celebration of life, not.
And it never is.
Yeah, it never is. It's always sorrow. It's always, oh, I should have had this, instead of, fuck, we had all of this time together. Remember all the great things. It's never that. It's never that until like a year after.
I struggle with that a lot too, because like we always just put stuff off for the inevitable. We just put stuff off like, oh, I haven't spent time with this person or whatever, but I could go do it another time or whatever it is. Like you talk about like going in Airbnb and unplugging. Like my big thing is with our families, you live with your mother, so it's different. The blessing in this scenario. Say my parents have 20 more years. And I think I have 20 more years with my family. I have 20 more years with my parents. But I get home once a year. So I have 20 more fucking visits. Think about it like that.
Yeah.
I have 20 more visits, and I just checked one more off. I checked number 19 off.
And that's if you make it back every year.
And I don't.
Yeah. You got another family to think about. Yours, but also your wife's.
Yeah, it's two separate families now.
It's all yours.
Yep, but it's two separate families, you know? Like that's, I get 19 more visits for the 5 hours that we're awake during the day or 10 hour, whatever it is, you know? Like we end up putting it off for the inevitable, and we just put it off. Like we have unlimited time with them, but it's so definite when it happens. Like it's done.
And
you have no.
This is the conundrum. You can either choose to go do a podcast with your best friend that you've been wanting to do for 4 or 5 years, or you can go home and hang out with your grandpa for a couple hours before you go to bed.
Or have your employee go to Christmas or you go to Christmas. You know?
But then I'd be in Powell.
Yeah.
So like, it's nuts. Life is crazy. Just don't fall asleep.
You, like falling asleep at the freaking wheel, dude. Yeah. I think that's a good place to end it, dude. You guys can find Frandson Safety. Obviously, we talked about social presence and all that, but you can guys find them on the interwebs. I'm guessing you guys have a website.
Yeah, it's just fransonsafety.com.
Yep. And see, that's a different thing. Like, individuals aren't reaching out to you. Companies are reaching. You guys are a B2B business. So it's much different. B2B businesses are marketing to businesses, business to business. Mine's B2C, business to customer. You know, it's just different. Like, it's still customer, but you guys are hired by businesses.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a different social media thing.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with PO numbers and
Yeah.
all that jazz.
Oh, nothing. I got to deal with.
You get instant cash right away.
Yeah. It's a different world.
We usually wait 90 days.
That's usually the turnaround for most businesses. Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm glad we got to do it. I'm glad the stars aligned. I'm glad that we got to just shoot the shit, dude. I appreciate it.
Love you, bud.
Yes, love you too, man. That is episode, what did I say, 120?
120.